Hello, we're the people who live in this box you call a YouTube video. We're going to be your friends.
Hello there, everybody. We're going to review on not one but two kind of cult classics which revolve around the country that we hail from,
Scotland. Honestly, one of these films in particular, I just have a sincere question for Scotland. How have we not spoken about Restless natives to the same extent we talk about Braveheart and Trainspotting?
Yep.
How?
And Dog Soldiers. So let's go with sort of Dog Soldiers first.
Yeah, because that's what we saw first.
Since what we saw first in that. Right. So my personal experience with the film, that I personally remember seeing it quite some time ago. Probably on DVD actually, in that back when I probably was too young to watch it, to legally watch it, but nevertheless watched it. And my personal opinion, like pretty straightforward story in that, but simple, but to the point I'd say in that, and plenty of nice tension and blood and gore in that for all you horror fans.
Practical effects.
Yeah.
Nice practical effects.
So that's my sort of short opinion on it.
Dog Soldiers is a quite fascinating film. I should mention a fun fact. I never heard of any of these films until Critical Drinker brought them up. And I'm just surprised I've never heard of them. It seems that there are just a whole bunch of films that go under a lot of people's radars that are hidden gems, as people call them. So with Dog Soldiers, only watched them as of recently, and it would have been quite a nostalgic trip for you, for better or for worse. Dog Soldiers it's got quite a simple premise, simple but effective. It's a group of people surviving this horrendous group of monsters until they reach the end point. It's a tried and true formula that's worked for something like Aliens or a variety of zombie flicks you could think of. In this case, it's werewolves.
Yeah, I think that was sort of like considered one of the inspirations by the director.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Interestingly enough, in that, even for the whole concept even for the setting in that is supposed to be based in London, and that, funny enough, it actually turns out most of the film was taking place in Luxembourg. Which was completely took me by surprise.
Yeah, I mean, for a film that sets itself in Scotland and even has Highland cows, I was surprised to hear that it was filmed in Luxembourg. They really got the feel of the scenery down to a T. I would have thought they actually filmed somewhere south of somewhere in the Cairngorms or something.
I know, but I mean, told me.
Yeah. I mean, it's a similar kind of terrain. It's not as if they went to the Sahara or the American suburb. No, it's still a sort of similar mountainous forest terrain. Well, maybe not. Okay, maybe mountains is a bit of an exaggerated word, but yeah, there's plenty of mountains and hills. Yeah, hills.
Yeah,
hill kind of terrain. Yep.
One of the stars in the film, and that the main character is Kim McKedden, that some of you fans may know as one of the guys in the first Trainspotting, and in video games you may know him as Soap McTavish in Modern Warfare 2 and that. And if you want to be extra nerdy about it, and that, he was also in GTA Vice City in that, playing Jez Torrance, a glam rock star.
Truly, his contributions to pop culture have done great service for the country.
I'd say he definitely has a very a very thick Scottish accent. I'd say like so thick that you can't even poke a straw through it.
Nice. So funnily enough, for Philip set in Scotland, he's working with an English military team on some kind of military exercise. He's been set back a few pegs since he didn't go through with this particularly cruel order from his very pushy commander, who I thought was Jason Isaacs, but kind of looks more like Bernard Hill. I guess a fusion of both. But he's on this training exercise, and they soon find out that all's not well. They, of course, find the trail of evidence that leads to the fact that it's werewolves. But of course, there's a few confusing elements about the movie. I mean, I'm grateful that the plot overall is very straightforward to its core. It's still about this group of people surviving the night, but there's still a few other things about the plot that seems to confuse me. Like, for example, the werewolves don't really come out at night at first. When in their first encounter, they kind of come out during the foggy dawn. Like the sort of like putting a slight filter over the lens and that to make it look like it's darker than it's originally supposed to be. Right, but the sky is still quite bright. It looks as if the werewolves are just coming out in the daytime now.
Yeah.
The whole stick of werewolves is that they transformed when it's the full moon. And not to mention, in this particular iteration of werewolves, there seems to be a somewhat more elaborate process. In fact, when someone like gets bitten or scratched by the werewolf, I suppose it's mainly bitten in this case, they don't immediately transform in this movie. It's seems to be a few-hour process of some kind.
Yeah. One of the things that confused me in that is like the fact that is that before they encountered the werewolves and that and sort of like and sort of going across the cabin and that they start off. Well, the idea is at the start of the film and that they're sort of doing. Kim McKidd's character and that, and the rest of the crew and that are sort of involved in some sort of training exercise and that, where they have blank powder and rifles,
right?
And then they just encounter a group of these like dead like sort of special,
and then take their equipment,
and they take their equipment and that, and it's just the fact that they just like all of a sudden like out of the blue and that are just like, well, we're stuck into it, like so just grab everyone else's guns now, like, you know, no calling for outside help, no like you know, like just bugger it, let's just do it ourselves.
I think they actually tried to contact for help, but they had trouble with getting a connection.
Well, I mean, it just seems like, you know, they're just so well in that and just taking these random weapons and that, but I have to say, like, for a gun nut and that, like, someone must have been a real fan of Heckler and Koch and that, because like the majority of the time that you see them like carrying like MP5s or G3s and that. Like, in fact, I think the only time that you see them like carrying a weapon that's not a Heckler Koch is like the shotgun and that. I think it was a Remington 870.
Right.
But anyways, it gone nerdiness out of the way in that. So after their confrontation with the werewolves, they encounter a woman that manages to save them via Land Rover, and that takes them to the said cabin where majority of the action takes place.
My days, do they take full advantage of that cabin and the nearby garage shelter. It just gets torn apart and walls collapsing down. They use anything and everything they can, from cutlery to pans to everything, including the literal kitchen sink at times, just to ward off the threats.
Yeah, and not mention a claymore.
And a claymore, yes, they actually use a claymore. Yeah, it's just like playing a Halo game. Like, everyone's going, ooh, get the sword.
Yeah, including one particular character that was very, very eager to get his hands on it.
It really is like a Halo game because everyone knows that a sword doesn't really have the range and immediacy of a gun, but the sword is really cool to have.
Yeah. Several important tidbits of news and information come out, and that including one of them being one of the guys that they've taken along in that, who happened to also be one of the guys that tried to hire Kim as Kid's character in that.
Yeah, he's acting awfully suspicious, and you know he's onto something, and you know he's going to backstab them in some way later on.
Yeah, and it turns out werewolves work the same way as zombies in that, where if you get bitten by one, you get turned into one. Like, I mean, I'm not really up in my werewolf mythology in that, but it just seems awfully odd that werewolf mechanics in that work the same way as zombies in that.
Oh, okay. So basically, let me give you the full gist on werewolf lore. So basically, the werewolf curse is that whoever is the werewolf transforms into a werewolf only at full moon, and in most depictions of the werewolf, they have no control over their werewolf form. It's just the carnal, eat everything. But apparently, if you get bitten by a werewolf, then you're doomed to become a werewolf during the full moon.
Yeah. It's funny how there seems to be a lot of horror monsters out there, and that always seems to have influences on it always seems to have a constant theme that of if you get bitten by this being in that you turn into it. It's almost like all these characters in that seem to have some sort of superhuman rabies or something.
Welcome to Resident Evil.
Yeah. Except in their world now, you get cool superhuman powers in that. Whilst in real life, in that you get afraid of water in that, and they have horrible causes.
Quite. Yeah, you got zombies, you got werewolves, you got vampires, midgies.
So anyways, back on topping that. So turns out the guy that we had in that, he's already a werewolf in that, and he turns into a werewolf,
of course, yeah.
And he gets
dispatched off. Yeah, well, not immediately dispatched off. There's this really cool plot mechanic where he does manage to get a sword right into him, and then he runs off. But he spends the rest of the night with a werewolf who has a sword penetrated through his head.
Yeah, and it turns out one of the guys that got attacked earlier in that literally got his belly sliced open.
Oh yeah.
And then turns out that he's now becoming a werewolf in that.
Yeah, that's right. If you get bitten or scratched by a werewolf, you're doomed to become one. Yeah.
And near the end of the movie, in that, he does the typical sort of heroic sacrifice in that by basically blowing up the house
in spectacular fashion.
Via sort of a cooker explosion, which always seems to bear in mind, I'm not an expert when it comes to cooker explosions and that, but it always seems to be the case that any cooker explosion, no matter the size of the house and that, it just seems to completely evaporate the place.
Well, I think the idea is that, specifically if it's a gas-powered oven, the gas is very flammable. So if you release the gas, that flammable gas is going to fill the air, and then that air is going to spread. And so naturally, if that's caught ablaze, then boom.
Yeah.
There was even a scene about it in the Jason Bourne series where Jason Bourne knows he's being chased, so what he does is that he gets the gas out from the oven, and then I think he puts on a toaster or something like that, or something flammable he leaves, and then he just walks away.
Yeah, but I mean, would it really be the crown of like, you know, like having like having like sort of C4 and that, like just packed to every brim of the house and that, to just have that huge like not even like just exploding the place, evaporating the place,
right?
Like, yes, but anyways, like so yeah. Spoilers. Kevin McKidd makes it out alive in that
with the claymore.
Yeah,
and the dog.
And the dog. So yeah. So it is kind of like a pretty much paint by numbers like sort of horror flick, but nevertheless like really entertaining.
Oh, it is very entertaining. It's the practical effects are great to see, and you see them go through a lot of some great stuff. There's some particularly hilarious bits where knock me out. Oh, you call that knocking me up? when they're using the Vietnam technique that you told me about, where they use the super glue and tape to get his guts back in. Oh my days. There's a certain campiness to the movie, so that lends itself to a lot to the fun as well. So this is one scene like near the climax where the werewolves are really caving in. Another person betrayed them, and we find out a revelation that the werewolves were this family locally the whole time, and the party split into two. Kevin McKidd runs off with the colonel who's going to be turning into a werewolf and sacrifices off, and then another person that splits off is one of the other soldiers who decides to fist fight one of the werewolves quite effectively. It's just so awesome and funny to see at the same time. This werewolf just put up the dukes like it's a wrestling match, and then just using anything and everything to just fight off the werewolf, just because he just doesn't care anymore. He's just pounding in and putting in a few effective punches like it's so brilliant to see.
And I love the part near the end in that when when Kim McKidd's character and the other protagonist and that are like desperately trying to get away from the werewolves and that, and they're literally like tearing the walls apart and that to try and get to the other side and that, and they end up like literally going through the kitchen ceiling, and it's just like you really feel like the desperation that they are in that to just get away from this werewolf and that, and just it was just absolute chaos in that.
Absolutely, like I said, they just wrecked the whole place, and they really utilized the whole house. I mean, imagine just having to create that thing from the ground up for this purpose of seeing it being torn down to shreds. There's other tactics at play. There's other stuff like the other great spectacle moments, like the traitor guy who nearly used the sword that he was stabbed with to stab Kevin McKidd, and the sword's like this, like but then he manages to fend them off by using the silver knife that was established by the poor couple from the first scene. And of course the guy blows everything up, and you got a great finale when Kevin McKidd comes out unscathed, bit of an injury but nothing you can walk off from, and seeing with the oh yeah, you got that classic gag where they go through a blown up house and they go through the door, but then you pan out, and you could have just walked around the door. Dog soldiers.
If
I did have one complaint about the dog soldiers, that there's certain plot elements that are thrown in that seem quite confusing. Like I've already mentioned the whole notion of the timing of how the werewolf curse works precisely, especially when they were shown in daylight earlier. There was another confusing element where the lady who brought them into the cottage earlier, she said that she's given in to her primal nature, and she betrays them, which kind of begs the question, why did she save them in the first place?
I don't know. I think the idea is that they're sort of like having them to one location so that they're easier to hunt down, maybe.
Okay. I guess that makes sense. Or maybe she gave in to her their nature a bit later into the night. But I mean, I suppose it's something that could be explained, but it's never thoroughly explained in the film itself. I guess at best you get an implication of her motives, but not really anything much. I mean, it's kind of a distraction. What's otherwise a pretty simple, straightforward premise of just people surviving a werewolf attack.
Yeah, but I mean, simple doesn't always mean bad.
Exactly. So now that we've mentioned dog soldiers, how would you rate Dog Soldiers then?
So what would you rate this from? Like sort of like from like tens or stars?
Stars. So I mean, on Letterboxd, I rated this movie 3.5 stars out of 5.
Yeah, like I'd say roughly 7 or 8 or 10. I'd say.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like,
that makes sense.
It's it won't blow your mind. It won't blow your mind in that. Unlike the house in the film. But if you're looking for like a straightforward like action horror flick and that, akin to aliens and that, definitely give it a go.
Oh yeah, there's one other thing I should mention about Dog Soldiers is that apparently there's a few other pop culture references thrown into the film, including The Matrix, where there was a line, something along the case of a spoon, in reference to the "there is no spoon" line from The Matrix. Oh, yeah. I can't exactly remember the line. But it was referenced in a way where I thought, right, that is an overt reference to The Matrix.
Oh yeah, there is no spoon.
Yes, there's no spoon. Now, what was the context? I've forgotten the context of the scene, but they said the line and I thought, wow, that's a blatant reference to The Matrix. Again, there's a certain fun, cheesy campiness to the movie,
Yeah. Anyways, moving on.
Restless Natives. As of recording this is the 40th anniversary of this particular movie. In fact, I even went to the extension of getting the DVD with me. So I should have brought the Dog Soldiers DVD with me, but yeah. I managed to get this on Blu-ray, and this is a vintage classic, and despite being a classic, I am honestly surprised more people are not talking about this.
Like I'd say, like I never heard of it before personally, or seen it before we did in it, but yes, definitely a cult classic in my opinion, that in many ways in that, and also I'd probably consider it like quite a time capsule of a movie.
Absolutely,
because like 1980s Scotland.
This was made in the 80s.
Yeah, 1980s Scotland.
Oh, 1980s. Sorry.
It's not really sort of period of time in that of our country, and that's really have been well covered that much really in that, and actually has quite some sort of some undertones in that for the time period in that, because during this period of time in that people were growing restless of Thatcher's role in that, and the genuine economy of Scotland at that time, and that sank to quite a low at the time.
Yeah, more people were getting fired because they weren't needed for certain jobs anymore. I think back in the past, people were really innovative in regards to space travel, engineering, and so on and so forth for like stuff like the war and for NASA and other related fields like that. But eventually, evidently during the 80s and 90s, that became less of a necessity, which led to vast unemployment, or in falling down terms, people became not economically viable.
Oh yeah, So basically, the story revolves around two young guys in that, who you could say were restless natives and that. Like
Exactly.
Like they're stuck in sort of dead-end jobs and that, not really going anywhere, and obviously not earning enough money in that. So they decide to basically hold up coach tours in Scotland, which if you probably aren't aware in that, like there's a huge industry in Scotland that which revolves around our tourism industry.
Absolutely. People love to come up here and see the scenery, see the glens, see the mountains, see like Ben Nevis, all the Munros, and see the sites, the historical sites like the Urquhart Castle, which we visited, the Loch Ness, that's literally by it, the Culloden battlefield. There's a lot of historically significant places to visit, and I mean, I don't blame people for wanting to come visit Scotland for the scenery, and especially for the water.
and yeah, like so they end up like sicking up these buses and that, using a toy pistol and
some kind of powder gun,
some sort of powder gun in that, and over time during their escapades and that, it actually makes them quite popular to the crowd in that, so much so in that they're kind of considered their own kind of sort of Robin Hood as it were in that, because they end up they end up like sharing their wealth in that among the unfortunate, and that they end up making a sort of names for themselves.
Showing it across the neighbourhood, showing it with the Salvation Army, showing it with that one particularly enthusiastic guy who collected them in dustbins.
Yeah, which I said that you would have been an absolute perfect extra for that part.
Yeah, that would have been fun to play.
And yeah, so obviously the police sort of like naturally get involved in that, but have a hard time trying to track these guys down in that.
Because I mean, before that they had helmets, but when they started their escapades, they went to their prank shop that they went to and acquired. One of them got a clown mask, the other got a wolf mask.
Yeah.
And they've managed to find several ways to avoid detection for the most part, and just taking off their humble wee motorbike and taking off across the Highlands and other places, and just robbing the places and robbing the buses and helping the poor people out, and they become the new 80s Robin Hoods, the modern day Rob Roys, as it were.
Yeah, and of course, as most of these films do, in that, tensions arrives during the middle part, and that one of the main characters ends up getting a girlfriend who happens to be one of the women that was like in charge of the coach tours and that he ends up blatantly telling them that he was involved with one of them, and the other ends up gets involved with like the wrong crowd in that, who tries to convince him to do even more sort of like daring raids in that, eventually the sort of like eventually it sort of ends with them sort of realizing that they're kind of sort of snookered, but they end up like going ahead anyways in that, and they end up being apprehended by the police. By the police in that. Well, particularly one of the inspectors in the film that, and basically what they believed they were getting apprehended, and that actually wasn't that, because like basically the inspector said that look, because of your exploits and that, tourism actually has increased in that because of their actions, because everyone wants to be involved with all of these these bandits and that, and
but we can't let you go either.
Yeah, so basically they fake their own deaths and that, and
they flee to Mexico or the Mexican border more precisely.
And their kind of legend kind of lives on in that. In fact, one of the final lines in that from one of the characters was, "Do you believe in ghosts?"
Which is repeating a line that was mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Great payoff. Payoff.
So that's pretty much the film in that. Again, relatively simple concept in that, but still well executed one.
Absolutely, simple premise, but it's just such a brilliant combination of comedy, drama, low budget action, and quite the interesting time capsule social commentary for the time.
And not to mention the comedy itself is fantastic.
It's brilliant.
And I actually thought there's quite a surprising sort of emphasis on sort of visual comedy, even for the film itself, and that clearly had a lot of spoken lines in that, but they had a lot of well executed sort of comedy that doesn't require sort of dialogue.
Oh yeah,
particularly when they're trying to sort of
interrogate the little girl.
Yeah, interrogate the little girl and that somehow got involved in that sort of that we won't get into in that, and basically these police officers trying in vain to get the
little girl to speak
in that, very much giving her entire sort of Toys Masters store worth of toys, and until the police is the station is completely swamped with toys and that, and these officers trying in vain in that to they're literally shoving dolls in her face and she's not budging. And not to mention spoken comedy as well in that, particularly the scene in that with the police officer and the joke shop and that after they pulled off one of their heists and that, and there's obviously tension that where they're sort of afraid of whether or not they know what they've done or not, and of course the police officer goes to the desk and that and approaches him and that and just says, "Do you have any fake tits?" And and the film itself is just generally all around good fun.
Absolutely.
Particularly with the sort of the Japanese journalists and that end up actively involved in the police chases.
That was my favorite joke in the whole series. This the Japanese get involved and they think, "Oh great, you're going to help us apprehend them." "Oh no, we're not in it to catch them. We want to report them. We want them for our journalists." So you just get the scenery of the bandits being chased by two yellow cars of Japanese reporters, and then the police trying to catch up.
Yeah, them in pickups and that, trying to get their mic booms and that as close to the thing.
Oh, there they go, get them. And the police end up getting delayed just because of the Japanese reporters getting in the way.
Yeah, I love that part where the American inspector and that, after the policeman go away and that, he doesn't realise that one of the camera crews is just right next to him and that, when he's staring off and that, and he just oh.
And the ultimate punchline is when they're reporting it in their show, and they show off the motorbike.
And they end up advertising the same Yamaha bike that he's used for their exploits.
Suzuki! That's genius. I love it. I love that joke. Oh man.
And yeah, just brilliant film all around. Like, so like in terms of like nitpicks in it, and when I say nitpicks in it, I mean like the very minus sort of nitpick in that's not even that much of a big deal in that. Is that I did kind of feel like I didn't really sort of, I did feel kind of the whole sort of love interest thing angle kind of felt a bit too predictable. And I don't know, like for that kind of guy to get a girl that hot, I mean, come on. I don't know, maybe it was easier to pick up women like that back then.
Maybe, I guess that's another thing back then, I guess.
And I don't know if there'd be anything else. I suppose like the other guy's like backstory and that on like the fact that he's, you know, like the other character, the glasses and that, you know, saying that he never had family and that when he was growing up and that. I did kind of feel like there could have been a bit more to a story in that.
Right.
Because it felt like it was just like put in, well, maybe not put in at the last moment that, but we only really got one good scene of him, you know, explaining and that you know that he never had family in that, and I just kind of felt that it could have maybe gone into a bit more detail about that, but.
You know, now that you mention it, it just made me realize something. You see, one of the characters is pretty much surrounded by family. One of them is a father who's played by Bernard Hill, and yes, that is King Theoden from the Lord of the Rings series. But the other character, he doesn't have family to go to, so I would probably explain why he goes knee deeper into the criminal underworld. On the one hand, you could say that it doesn't really go anywhere too much, but at the same time, the fact that he's willing to try to form a bond with this hilariously stodgy guy. Yeah. That stodgy guy is just so funny because he's so unpredictable and he's. I would describe as aggressively nice.
Yeah, aggressively nice. Yeah, that's far away. I love that part when like when one of the characters going to his flat and that, and when he's having the party and that, and the guy with like disappears with his like like bulging eyes and that, just like you come in boss and then just come into the house.
The specific motion was specifically, why don't you come in?
Yeah.
Big bulging eyes. They usually do this when they're threatening somebody, but he just does this motion to get the friend to come in to have a party.
Yeah.
No, you're gonna party whether you like it or not.
Oh, he's fantastic.
But that was just the perfect punchline to the fact that the guy was absent from work because he was busy partying. I'm busy. He's got the cap on and everything. And another scene beforehand when he's befriending him, and then he just goes to the fence and goes, "Ah!" and then just says, "I'm joking."
And I love that part near the end in that where he ends up pretending to be one of the air steward, the stewardess, and that when he's holding the gun. Like he was that desperate to do a raid of that he went to that extent.
He somehow gets away with the Lewin disguise with the full beard. Yeah. Oh, it's so funny. Oh man, there's some other notable highlights I can note, but honestly, some of the action is pretty much up there with the Blues Brothers. Maybe not as big as the Blues Brothers, because obviously this is a low budget action, but still very impressive for low budget.
Yeah, I'd say so. Like it feels like it should be bigger. It should have been a bigger deal than it originally was. Because like there was moments where it felt like because like they say like it's a low budget film and that, but honestly I don't really get that impression sometimes in that, because it really feels like they're really trying to go all out with the premise.
Right. I suppose I suppose it's a mixture of maybe having enough expenses to pull some of those things off, but at the same time, people willing to stretch their limits, I guess, a wee bit, because I suppose maybe, for example, if we had like, I don't know, maybe 100 quid or so, we could hire this one stuntman to do impressive stuff on a bike. Yeah. I mean, that in itself would be cheaper than the full budget thing, like, for example.
Yeah.
So.
And I'd say that the cast, even though most of them are unknown, except for the said guy that you mentioned,
Bernard Hill, yeah.
I think everyone did a really good job in that, I'd say.
Oh, absolutely,
and, particularly the two male leads in that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You really got the impression that they're like these two sort of like down in their luck guys in that, sort of just trying to scrape by in that, and particularly we'll have to learn the names of these. Well, we'll probably put the
Ronnie and Will are the names of the protagonists, yes.
Yeah, and like particularly the guy with the glasses interacting with the kids and that, and that part when he's having an argument with his friend and that, and he just shouts at the kid and that, "We're close!"
That's one of the running gags. There's one kid who keeps asking for these ridiculous sugars and gets a beating from an old lady over it. I'm beating with some of the joke props.
I'd say definitely worth a watch. I'd say I would give it a solid 8 in that.
Aye.
You know, like it won't blow your mind in that, but it may capture your heart.
That's a pretty good summary.
If you want to definitely a great insight, I mean insight, like because I was never born in the 1980s and that, but I get the impression that if you want a great insight into what Scotland was like in that during the Thatcher period and that, I'd say that you can't go any better than this.
Absolutely. On Letterboxd, I rated this 4.5 stars out of 5. So yeah, absolute guarantee. Although before we end off, there's one thing we've overlooked: the music by Big Country.
Oh yeah, they did a fantastic job. I would say that they did a good job of making like music that sounds Scottishy without going overblown with like bagpipes or like traditional musical instruments. It's all like is it acoustic guitar? No,
the electric guitars.
Electric guitars.
Essentially, it's a rock band that's playing the kind of tunes you'd hear from a traditional folk band.
Yeah.
And honestly, my taste in music leans towards folk and folk rock with bands like the Waterboys.
Yeah, well, they did a fantastic job at making music that sounds Scottish, but isn't like mockingly sort of Scottish, if you know what I mean.
I wouldn't have minded mockingly Scottish. We embrace all kinds of stereotypes, like Groundskeeper Willie and the Scotsman from Samurai Jack.
Yeah.
We welcome it.
But it's good that they went the extra step with the music, I'd say, that's pretty much everything I have to say for Restless Natives. What about you?
Yeah, honestly, how have we not heard of this movie before until then? I mean, thanks to my parents, I was made aware of other Scottish classics like Gregory's Girl and Local Hero, made by Mr. Forsyth. Whatever the director's name was. The Local Hero and Gregory's Girl are also movies that I can imagine are pretty much overlooked, but for the film buffs, there's guaranteed classics. But even among film buffs, how have we not heard of this movie?
That's two sort of classic Scottishy films and that we both definitely recommend.
Guaranteed good time for both. Yes.
So so that was me, and that was he, and
that is we.
Yep, that's us. And
What we gotta be.
And any closing words?
Do you believe in ghosts?
You know what? I might, after seeing these films, I might do.
There we go.